Hello Animaniacs, I'm QueenAnimate, your queen of animation movies, shows, and just animation in general. In the realm of animation, there's the good, the bad, and the oh god, why did anyone sit down to animate this? And I'm here to tackle it all. Sit back and revel in my passion and anger as I rant away on animation. From the beginnings of Walt Disney in the West and Osamu Tezuka in the East, animation has been a steadily growing field of entertainment from the early 1920s and forward. But thanks to Disney's growing popularity, a number of other animation studios popped up and said, "Hey, we can do that!" and set about making pieces to entertain, or in some cases, try to entertain through animation, whether it be through TV shows, short films, or full-length features. Like I said before, there's always the good, the bad, and the ugly of the animation world. I'm not going to beat around the bush about this. I should tell you straight out. There are movies that really do not deserve the sequels they got, and other far more potent movies that have been put into the dust or have taken far too long to get the sequel out there. But before I get into that kind of talk, we should talk box office first, and show what makes a movie good to the PR people, but not necessarily to consumers of said product. For example, The Lorax, a 3D-style animated movie adaptation, and I use this term very loosely, was the product of Universal Pictures, distributing an Illumination Entertainment film. Ever heard of them? They're pretty underground in comparison to many of the big-name animation studios. Disney, Pixar, DreamWorks, you get my gist. They aren't the big leagues. The Lorax had a budget of about $70 million to produce, create, and animate, and the box office topped at a very large $348 million. As a soon-to-be college student, if I had that kind of money, I'd be set for college and paying any bills that might have come afterwards until I was in at least my late 40s, early 50s. That being said, it was an extreme box office hit. It wasn't, however, a very good movie. And the animation, while rather gorgeous at times, had moments where it just clunked and skidded to a stop, with its cultural references to the current times that will be lost on many generations to come if it ever gets brought up again. However, Rise of the Guardians, also made with 3D-style animation but about 5 times more realistic looking, was the product of DreamWorks and was given a budget of about $145 million. And in its first week being out, had the lowest box office movie pull-in for DreamWorks since Flushed Away. And trust me, we don't need to get into why that movie was bad. Even when the movie grossed more than the budget, it was still considered a flop since it did not turn a profit for DreamWorks due to the high costs in production and marketing, and it ended up causing the studio to have an astounding $83 million write-down. Due to this, about 350 employees lost their jobs after being laid off from this letdown. However, in comparing the good and the bad of those two films, Rise of the Guardians was the far superior film, enough to warrant a fandom that would love to see a sequel, some more based off of the latter books that the film was based on. However, due to this box office appeal, sadly that has very little chance of happening. Most films that get sequels when it comes to animation can seriously use work. Now, I'm not talking your Toy Story 2 or 3, those are pieces of absolute genius, and I'm not referring to Rescuers Down Under, because, hell, that movie was better than the first one was. I'm talking about your Ice Age sequels or your Cars sequels. Cars was okay the first time round, I'll give you that. But it most certainly didn't deserve a sequel. Or 2. Really? 2? 2 Cars sequels? I'm not even touching the fact that they did a spin-off with planes. I mean, you can only take a concept so far before it rips apart at the seams. Speaking of ripping apart at the seams, my god, Ice Age, when will this madness stop? How? How did this warrant not 1, not 2, but 3 sequels? Ice Age is a film about an angry woolly mammoth named Manfred. Clever? Who would much prefer to be on his own, and a really inept giant sloth with a nearly indiscernible lisp that seems to cover his entire mouth, finding a child human, or rather a caveman, since this is a film about prehistoric times, and they try and help the child find its herd, along with a wisecracking saber-toothed tiger named Diego. Spanish, for some reason. I'm not sure why, since this film is obviously set in prehistoric North America. Wait, let me just... Oh, just as I thought, South America. Well then what is he doing up here? Beside my point, it's a cute little movie, not really expected to gain a sequel because, you know, all those creatures go extinct after this point. But
that's what Blue Sky Studios wants you to think, though.
Somehow, some way, some power from above allowed this film to gain 3 sequels. And not just straight to DVD release. Oh no! They got full theatrical viewings each and every time. They go through glaciers melting. They made fucking dinosaurs who are supposed to be long dead by now, mind you, and somehow still survive to meet the extremely comical breaking apart of the Earth as the tectonic plates shift rapidly across the fucking Earth. Okay, I'm no expert on science, as many of my previous science teachers from the grades of schooling past can testify to. I've only ever gotten B's at the most, but I'm about 500% sure that the Earth didn't suddenly go from single landmass to fucking continents in a matter of hours. Besides horrible inaccuracy, the plot and jokes fall through about 90% of the time, and half of these jokes are not based for kids, even though, guess what? It's a kids movie! Do you really think that a child is going to get this joke the first time round?
You can do it! Push! Push!
I can't do it!
Just one more big push!
You have no idea what I'm going through! Okay, forget I said that!
Even if they did, it's a pretty brutal joke. The animation rivals that of DreamWorks, but half the time it feels like they don't even try. Not to mention the dire need to have actual villains besides the climate that they're battling, or the dinosaurs that they're battling, or the fact that the land is splitting apart beneath them. If you have a movie where you have to battle big-name villains plus the climate around them, you're going to have some shaky spots in your writing. Well, besides Frozen. But that big-name villain was kind of thrown at you as a major plot twist. I'm not saying that Frozen doesn't have its own problems, but it was most certainly better than the Ice Age sequels if that catchy Let It Go song and getting an Oscar for animation says anything. Yes, I know that was a very hollow victory for Frozen to get that award, but that's a topic for another video. Continuing on about sequels, there are other movies that could really use a sequel, if not to tie up the movie, then to at least add more and keep some people interested. Not Frozen, though. I'm sure everyone will agree that there is no way to create a sequel with this movie. The Incredibles set up for a sequel in the final bit of the movie. I won't spoil it for you if you haven't seen said movie, but that movie took about 8 years for Pixar to finally go, oh hey, why haven't we made a sequel with this movie? We practically set it up. And begin to create a sequel and announce the second sequel to Cars. But we don't really need that, so we're going to ignore that for the time being. On a completely different note, I think that Finding Dory is going to be a cute sequel. Granted, not a really needed one, but no one is more excited for that movie than Ellen DeGeneres herself, said actress of The Forgetful Fish. I bring up this note on sequels and such because the sequel to a very popular DreamWorks movie, How to Train Your Dragon, is coming out this summer. This story arc was so popular that it has 2 shorts, a 2-season-long animated cartoon show, which faced people is not nearly as well done as the original movie, but can we really expect that with how much time goes into the movie? And is now planned to have 2 sequels. But what made this movie so popular? Well, pretty much the entire picture, to be honest. The animation is gorgeous, the storyline has a good 3-act structure and sticks to it well. You have your drama, ethos, pathos, a changing of views, jokes that are able to stand up well on their own.
Now, you're thinking about this all wrong. It's not so much what you look like, it's what's inside that he can't stand.
Thank you for summing that up.
And a cast of sensational voices that suit each and every well-set-up character well. As well as the dragons. Oh my god, the dragons. I could literally base an entire video on just the dragons. I love them so much. But with all of those elements combining into one movie, it really shows commitment and effort. This is the kind of movie that deserves 2 sequels. The hype for the first of these 2 is looking promising, but viewing will have to be the deciding factor. All in all, this is my pleading note to animation studios everywhere. For the love of all that's holy, stop producing Ice Age sequels and give us some new content. If you're going to give us sequels, let them be sequels to good movies where they are needed. I'm QueenAnimate, and I'm signing out.
something that